Travis with us?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Daniels, you good?
Bruce, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. All right, and Nathan will not be here, correct?
That's correct, he's on the ball field, so.
All right. Item number 1. Anybody got a problem with the agenda?
Other thing, Mr. Chairman, I do have Mr. Mike Ford, with our roofing consultant with us, if we could do that down at the director's conference, as long as it doesn't go very long. He's traveled a long way to get here, so.
Okay. Item number 2, then, the consent agenda is just to approve the minutes of the June 11th meeting and the June 25th special call meeting.
Mr. Chairman, if you would, with the members online, you do have that in your revised packet that I sent out, and Douglas's packet that he sent out earlier in the week, and then you've also got the revised packet that I sent out just a little while ago, just an hour ago, so you got that in both packets.
All right. Item number 3, Mr. Coker, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Just wanted to request board permission to join a cooperative. It's the Clinchtown Education Cooperative. And by joining that cooperative, we'll be able to buy off a national contract called TIPS. TIPS stands for the Interlocal Purchasing System Program. And really, this is just a way of purchasing from a national contract at the state level, the same as if it was a state contract.
How much savings there would, I know there'd be some, but
It depends on what it is. They apply a discount to a wide variety of products and technology. Whichever program has the best discount is what we go with.
One thing I'll probably have to do, since it is, Mr. Chairman, is part of the Financial Management Committee, we'll probably get that, we'll have to get that approved by the Financial Management Committee also. And we can participate in that cooperative, since it is doing purchasing after, since they were already into the new year, then we'll now get that approved at the ask the board, right around to get that in front of the Financial Management Committee for the next year, July 21st, I think that meeting, so, no problem.
Mr. Coker on that? No. All right. Item number 4 is consider action on board policies.
3 minutes will be rapidly moving along on that, but I can try to do that in 3 minutes. This will work. I can filibuster. However, you can look at the policy changes. I did put in your packet the policy changes as recommended by TSBA. We have several of those, some of those policies have to do with Title IX, the 6.3041. We have no current policy on that one. That's a brand new policy. I also put in your packet the TSBA email that I got, the explanation regarding each one of those policy changes. So I'll be glad to go through all of those. The 6.3041 is a brand new one on Title IX and sexual harassment. That's a brand new policy that is, let me see, 5 pages, 6 pages, 7 pages long. So it is a brand new one on Title IX. That you have that's point 6.3041. 6.304, I didn't put that in your packet. No action is required. I did consult with the TSBA attorney on that one. And since we just done that one back in April, there's no real need for us to revise anything on that one. 6.305 is, I said rise, it should be revised. The current policy to add current phone numbers and the Title IX coordinator which is Dr. Marcia Milton. So all of this, we look at that policy. All I did on that one, on 6.304, or correction, 6.305, is to include Dr. Milton on that policy. The other one is a brand new one. We dealt with this multiple times since I've been the director, and that is a new policy regarding enrollment in college level courses. So that is 4.205, and talks about dual enrollment and answers some of the questions that you've been dealing with in the past. So that's a good one there that TSBA wants us to do. The next one goes back to 6.319. This is revision to policy, adding a highlighted section between lines 10 and 11 in the current policy. 6.319, it has to do, you have to definitively describe, we just did this back in April, but they did another policy revision. You have to vividly describe your alternative school program, which we did. We have alternative school and then an alternative program. That is like the only alternative program that we have is our in-school suspension. So you can see that one that TSBA recommends. Another one is 6.316. Ms. Patterson is here. She's not going to talk about this extensively, but on 6.316 is the suspension, expulsion, remand policy that we have. And in that policy, we had to do some cleanup. It's what they did on that one, even though we did it back in April. The TSBA auditor said we need to do this. So this one I spent quite a bit of time on, making sure that the footnotes were exact to the exact laws that we had on Tennessee Code Annotated. So I felt like more maturity than I did anything else in doing that one. So and then TSBA will go back through that to make sure that those are some additions on 6.316.
That's what you actually.
That's correct. You can see out of TCA what they added and then what we added in. That is in ours currently. So it's much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And there's a lot that the law is more explicit on now than that passed the legislature, and you can look at that. Again, this is one that Ms. Patterson helps with DHA, looking at DHA, and she can speak on that. The disciplinary hearing authority, but this one was on suspension, and then you got in-school suspension. Then you got suspensions longer than 5 days, suspensions longer than 10 days, and then you got procedures for out-of-school suspension and expulsion.
We didn't have this in the report.
That we did on the not the highlighted parts, we did not have, but we did have the others in there. And so I spent a lot of time. I spent hours on this one to re-verify, verify, and re-verify. So a lot of time was spent on this particular policy on 6.316. And then their loggers will also go by and check my work as well when they would send to TSBA. And I did spend quite a bit of time on with Ms. Emily Warren, who is one of the TSBA attorneys as well as Jennifer White. I spent quite a bit of time on there with Ms. Warren. The next one is an old policy. And again, Ms. Patterson might want to speak on this one. This is child abuse and neglect. This policy has not been touched by the board since 2006. This is a total rewrite. Total rewrite. And so meaning total rewrite, it's totally, these are new, these are things that in fact, what we're going to have to do now, separately than what we've done before, I have to designate one employee as the child abuse coordinator and an additional employee to serve as the alternate child abuse coordinator for each school. So I have been working on the Title IX individuals for principals today. And we have a Title IX coordinator. Then we also have complaint managers. We have a Title IX coordinator for the district, a Title IX coordinator at each school. We also have complaint managers at each school, both male and female, via board policy. So we have a complaint manager male, a complaint manager female at each school. We have some for the district. That goes back to the days of W.T. Todd, who still was named one of those old policies as the attendance supervisor. So what I've done, Mr. Cofer, he will be is now, with Douglas's departure, he will be the longest serving male employee in the office. So he has become our male complaint manager for County Central Office. And then our other one is Miss Bonnie Patterson. She just does all kinds of
So we got a list of schools.
So then we've got a list for all the schools, and I'll have that ready for you. I'm putting that on our personnel director. And so now I've got to go back and add to that, have the principals to appoint a employee to serve as the child abuse coordinator and the alternative child abuse coordinator, and additional training. We're going to do additional training in Title IX. We will do additional training in bullying, and we will also do additional training in reporting child abuse.
Do we have any people that are training?
Not that I am, we've got people that are trained, yes, for that, absolutely. We've got, but these are, I've added named specific individuals now, instead of principals have multiple training. We have multiple trainings. Bonnie, we do compliances on child abuse.
We do that every year. We do child abuse training, we do Title IX training, we do, bullying training for staff, all staff and, students. So.
We're trained well ahead.
We've got the training part down, we're just now having the name, put the
Specifics.
names down somewhere, even though, all staff has been trained.
And what that does on 1, 2, and 3, we designate that and we require the coordinator and alternate coordinator to receive appropriate training. That's additional training on what teachers are provided to. So then we supply the coordinator with all the necessary resources and ensure all school personnel annually complete the child abuse training program required by state law, which we do with our compliances. And Ms. Patterson leads that whole thing. And reporting has changed slightly. This is because of the law. You can see number 4 there, TCA 371403, and then House Bill 2461 that was just passed just General Assembly. So this is the reason that this is done. It's because of HB House Bill 2461 of the 111th Tennessee General Assembly.
And actually, a representative from our local DCS will be with me, I believe, Thursday. And she's going to go over the law again, make sure that we're in compliance.
Very good.
So we're on top of it. It's hard to stay on top of it, but I appreciate Ms. Patterson's diligence and us staying on top of it. But those, and I went back through some of the policies we got because of COVID-19. We had already passed that at a previous board meeting in May. So we don't have to do the COVID like some school systems are because we've already completed that. So there's a lot on these policies, but if we do them now, then that means we've gotten ahead of the game. And it's hard staying ahead of the game on these policies because they'll turn right around, here comes another one.
It's still required by law that the teacher knows that the training has to.
Absolutely.
Absolutely has to report that, correct?
Yes, everyone, the state of Tennessee is mandatory report, not just teachers.
Everyone, including you.
So like for us, it's annual training. You do that. And your professionals, that's what they're doing. That's why you are so far ahead of us. That's good. That's good. But it does, like you said, change. It changes just so quick.
Now, does this policy also cover sexual harassment?
Absolutely.
This is strictly.
And so then you got employees, but you've also got students as part of Title IX also. Yes, sir.
I saw it right here in this packet.
Especially when you get into bullying, what happens is that we've had numerous training about bullying. These go hand in hand. I mean, literally, an investigation is an investigation is an investigation. That transpires. And I've got our investigatory team that go in and look at these. And these are in that particular policy, that new one, that Title IX, is employees, but it also includes students.
I didn't see where it's covered. I'm trying to read it. Is there anything in here that would help us avoid the situation that we're in?
Well, definitely, that may or may not, it will make it clear. And what has happened there are the Congress has made new laws regarding Title IX, and they come down from the U.S. Department of Education in the midst of us having, that occurred with us. So then you've got this new that's come down, and so, Dr. Milton and I have already been on one Title IX seminar or webinar, and we will be doing another webinar that's just been made available with another, except this one is a Washington DC attorney as well. So this has just come down. Every school system in the state is going to have to go back and have this Title IX.
Anybody got any questions on any of that?
And that's a misnomer too, if I can, Mr. Chairman. That is a misnomer too, because Title IX used to just think gender equity was the big thing with Title IX. Now, you're looking at sexual harassment being part of that. Ronnie, you might want to say anything else on that? So it is one of those deals where your Title IX coordinator, we have to name an investigator. I've named Ms. Patterson as an investigator, because she's an investigator anyway, all that stuff. Purposely black. So Bonnie is already trained on investigation. So one thing we had to do in that policy, this is 6.3041, one of the things we had to do there, I had to determine the clear and convincing evidence standard. Brian, you might being the officer, it's more than just probable cause. You have to have clear and convincing evidence. That is a 75% standard, where a preponderance of the evidence is only a 50% standard. So we went with the higher standard there, as recommended by our board attorney, and as well as other attorneys. The clear and convincing evidence standard is a higher standard.
Legal across.
Yep.
DCA.
A bunch. So you can see these policies. These are important policies, incredibly important policies that are addressed before our upcoming school year.
All right, any questions? Any online people? All right, item number 5, consider revised 2020-2021 general purpose budget.
That's long. Basically, the only change in the budget, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, will be in the line of physical services. 72,510. Douglas will have this ready for you Thursday. He will have that ready for you. He has been in consultation with our auditor, Mr. Tim Shears, who is in the county right now. He's at the financial management office and the finance office, and Douglas has been in consultation with him in regard to this. Now, if you look at our general purpose budget, line 72,510, when you look at that line item there, with what I'm recommending to you, there will only be one item in that line for the for FY21, and that will be our contribution to the financial management system. Since our employees, and I think I've talked to every one of you about this, since our employees were transferred to the financial management office, then they are still doing our physical services. And one attorney told it to me this way: if you were to go out and did your accounting, you would have to pay your accountant, correct? And in so doing, you are paying your accounting bill right here. And that was his, it was a simplistic explanation, but it just, a lot of it came on. Since those individuals were transferred, had you not transferred them, I think it would be an interesting question for litigation. But since we transferred them on the recommendation of the comptroller's office, then we have to pay for them. And so what we did, I went through each employee and talked with each employee in regard to the percentage of physical services they provide. And you can see that explanation. I think I sent that to you. I'm going to send you an even more one that I sent out to each of you about the percentages. So we look at Douglas being 60%, Shannon being 55%, Teresa Lewis being 25%, and then Darlene Whitty did 65% of their duties. And I had to go back, and they've got a detailed list of duties that they perform for the board. And so this is kind of a hard thing, because some days you're 100, Douglas is 100%. We were getting to here at the end of the year, the fiscal year, Douglas was, 100% that day. But then some other days, he may only be 20% or 30% doing that, because he's working for the board. So he went back through his job duties and looked at those job duties and the amount of time spent on those. And so we got a percentage. That adds up to 2.05. We sent 2 individuals to the financial management office. And so on that sheet, we give you a summary sheet of that. And that summary sheet lists what Douglas and Ms. Bacon and Ms. Lewis and Ms. Woody all do. And so we figured out the figure there, how much Social Security, Medicare, medical insurance, total, whatever, and then we give a percentage. And so we added up those percentages, and we a little over, we figured somewhere in the neighborhood of $104,000. What it would cost us to do our fiscal services for these 2 individuals that approved. And so I think that is and I've looked at 2 different attorneys have looked at this, and they believe that that is a very fair contribution to the fiscal services line. Somewhere in that neighborhood, we'll get you that, I'll get you that earlier, because Douglas had not figured in, he gets some money from the early childhood program. That wasn't figured in his original salary, that original figures. So he'll do that and figure those in and get that because he was just looking at what was in the 72510 category. Now, some of that is clerical workers, clerical personnel, they will be moved in other parts of the budget. Office supplies will be in other parts of the budget. And contracted services, basically those contracted services on line item 72510-399 was contracted services there will be moved also. And basically that was for software and some other things that they would do, they basically did in the fiscal services. That will be provided by the financial management office. So you have that amount that is, I think, like I say, 2 different attorneys have looked at this, and they think that is a very fair way of doing our contribution. I've also sent this to the comptroller's office for clarification on that, and Ms. Bernard said that looked very, very fair. So that'll be sent on, and then that will be that's basically our bill every year. Just like the trustee, you were to go on up the category there to the category dealing with the trustees' charges in 72310 under the Board of Education. You can see the trustees commission will send $73,000 to the trustees' office each year. You basically pay for the trustee. Trustee's salary is $76,000. So basically, the Board of Education pays for Ms. Norma Knox's salary. So we did that, and then we're going to be paying a good percentage of the financial management office's salaries there. With Board of Ed, we have the bill. Comptroller wanted it done this way, we did it this way, and now we've got to pay the piper. And paying the piper is you're going to be paying for fiscal services, and the only thing listed in 72510 will be the contribution to the financial management office, and so we pay our bill for fiscal services. And once you pay your bill for fiscal services, you pay your bill for fiscal services. We will no longer be doing fiscal services in the Board of Education offices. That will be done upstairs at the finance office. So anything having to do with purchasing or bidding, and there's, I'm not going to be the chairman of the financial management committee, we can talk about bidding, and you will still be looking and submitting the bids. You will say, okay, we need this bidded out, okay, as a board. And then that will go to the financial management committee. And the financial management committee, you approve this bid, and they will approve that bid. So bidding will change slightly as part of the process. The financial management committee will basically look at the way you did the bids and see if the procedure was followed. And they will approve that bid as another kind of watchdog of the budget. And so that will be sent on the bidding process. But the only thing you will see in the fiscal services line item will be the contribution of the Camden Board of Education to the finance office. Is what you'll see there. So I don't think I did that in 10 minutes, but,
Having more eyes, so it's not a bad thing.
no, not at all. And, we are contingent. That shows I think our good faith toward the financial management system that it works and making sure it works. One other item, Mr. Chairman, a part of that salary certainly is Ms. Bacon. She will remain with us as our human resources officer. She will not function in a physical capacity. She will be doing all HR, and let me just tell you, just dealing with that insurance alone is a lot. And then she'll be making sure, like, Darlene does the background checks, that will fall on Ms. Bacon, and then we get the payroll ready, and we send it up there, and they will take it. So she'll be working hand in hand with the payroll
Payroll
officer.
would be done quickly at the financial management.
It will be, but we gotta get it ready for time sheets and those things. We have to get that ready for as part of HR.
Anybody got any questions? No questions. All right. Safety report. Ms. Davis?
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, the biggest thing on the safety, side is reopening schools. And we are in the middle of trying to get our procedures in place and, getting our buildings ready for when that day comes. We have lots of people on this committee. Our big committee now has broken into 4 different committees. Basically, it's on physical health and sanitation, which came from the survey, which was our biggest need, what parents and community members wanted us to focus on. The other committee is, of course, academics, and then we have a transportation committee. And so the health committee is meeting Thursday at 9. You're welcome to join. We do have healthcare professionals on that committee, along with the director of the Department of Health from Canyon County, Michael Rayland. And EMS is working with us as well. So we have educators at the table, we have teacher representatives, principals, and we also have parents involved, and we have then our healthcare professionals. But I will tell you that I will let the healthcare professionals lead that committee and give us their recommendations. Basically, that's about all I have right now. We do have our CARES Act money, and that will be the focus on getting things purchased and hopefully having those things in place. I did talk to someone today from EMS, Roy Sullivan, and he is in the process of securing some more materials for us to use for people that want to use those. I hate to say the word because, that's such a political issue right now, but they have been secured so that they're there if they're needed. So.
If we had, this was something somebody ran by me a couple times. You have a sick child that gets off the bus, gets delivered to home. Does each school have, I don't want to say quarantine room, but we have like a safe room where we can
That is
place?
what we will be working on Thursday.
They kind of need to be isolated.
We have to follow the procedures that have been handed down to us from the Department of Education, and that's what we will be
Do
doing.
we have the space to accomplish that?
We will do our best.
We've been recommending this respiratory observations. That's how that goes. And then we filter an incubation process for the 14, and then, just like you said, medical professionals are the ones leading, this is ever changing and evolving every single day. This is, and I know Mr. Curtis was talking about that with the governor, what we may or may not see. But it sounds like you've got a great I mean, to me, it sounds like we got a great, a crew of staff already. But it changes, and it's just every day something with this.
You know, I told someone, this is my 40th year, going into my 40th year, and we've had all kinds of things come down in education, and we've always had a running joke that we're flying the airplane while it's being built. And I feel like this time that we don't even have an airplane. And so we're gonna have an airplane. We're gonna have something in place for our kids. They're our number one priority, safe schools. And, we will do our best. And I hope everyone understands that we're doing, as best we can, is what we're being told to do. And they help us, get this year started off and we have a successful year. But who knows what tomorrow will bring.
No.
There was a little miscue with the governor, they were expecting a big announcement.
Well, we got an announcement, I'll talk about that here in just a second, but, our committees are meeting, and I know people are wondering what's going on. Our committees are meeting, we have to get together a continuous, hold on, Mr. not too far. A continuous learning plan has to be submitted by the 24th of this month.
What's that?
A continuous learning plan. We have a template that we must follow. And basically, there are 3 scenarios. The scenario is just a normal start. I don't think there's such a thing as a normal start anymore. It's just a start. Where you have live students on a campus. The second one is a hybrid, and that is more of I call it a semi-hybrid. And that is part of the students are live on campus, part of the students are receiving virtual learning. And then the third option is total distance learning, total virtual distance learning. And that is, we will be offering that. We will be offering distance learning, just like all of the counties around us are offering.
That's what I'm asking.
So
How are we doing?
that's where we're working on with these 3 committees. Right now, we can do virtual distance learning on one-on-one and basically for the high school, because they all have Chromebooks. Every student has issued, at Cannon County High School is issued a Chromebook. Now, that's the problem. Most of the high school can get internet access somewhere. That's why we did the survey. And we've got the survey going on. We're going to extend that survey till the end of this week. So we will get the results of the survey, and our academic team will be focusing on academics. Monty's team will be focusing with the health experts on the health and the safety part of that. And then our transportation team, Ms. Lisa Black, is leading that team with bus drivers and contract bus drivers as well as regular bus drivers. And then the team will come together as one whole as we get together the seal of the continuous learning plan, and then we'll roll that out. The only thing that concerns me is if we get a plan in place, let's say we're going to go back in phases, and we have the phase plan, the staggered plan, if you want to call that the phase plan, or what I call the semi-hybrid. We get that, and then the COVID gets worse, or it continues to escalate. And then the governor says, guess what? We want you totally virtual. Then we will have to have a plan for total virtual.
How the elementary children look at?
Well, you can look at our budget documents and we can determine that. We have basically, out of our little over 2,000 students in our school system, 90 of those students will be in the pre-K program. And then you have about a little over nearly 600 at the high school, 577 at Cannon High School. Okay, the rest of that, 1,500 or so, will be at the elementary schools.
1,500 virtually.
That's correct. So Brian, we figured it up that we're not counting pre-K, would be about 1,095. Is that, Brian, was that our figures that we looked at earlier?
That was 1,019.
It is, I think that's right, somewhere in that maybe a little over 1,000 that we would have to get from 3rd grade through 8th grade. And then we went ahead and added that up, we went ahead and added the kindergarten, first and second to that. And, you know, a little bit more than that. So yeah, we would have to purchase that many devices. And about, it was close to, when I figured it out, that $265 per device was going to be, it was $387,000.
What about that?
Which we don't have in our budget.
That's the next question.
Where's the money going to come from? We were hoping that we would get some from the state, but what we just learned with the matching portion of this is not good. It's not good. That's not good news for Cannon County.
Intervention and special needs. You have to have hands-on.
That's exactly right, special education. I can envision K through 2 and special education being on campus, and perhaps 3rd through 8 not being on campus, or a hybrid of the two. Our academic team will be looking at the various scenarios, and we'll be getting together back as a team and then making a decision in regard to that. But you're right, special education, you don't want to get into the compensatory services stuff with special education. And you've got intervention, and you've got the RTI.
Without hands-on.
You need them there. With the lower grades, you need people, they need to be with that teacher. Virtual or distance is not a good option below grade 3. And even above grade 3, you still, in that of a special education or special needs students, they need that one-on-one with that individual teacher or aide. And some of those have, you know, educational assistants that are with them throughout the day. And so you've got a special needs student, then I had a conversation with every special education director right before this meeting in regard to that.
Let me ask another question. Do you think you can come up with a plan good enough to compete with the homeschool programs? Because I can see this.
There's where you need to have a good virtual answer.
Going completely, when people will say,
And we need to have a good virtual answer, but to have a good virtual answer, I've got to have grade levels. We're behind the curve here. Mr. Coker can speak on that. We're behind the curve that we don't have the Chromebooks that we can give out at the elementary level. We just don't, correct, Mr. Coker?
Right.
And we looked at trying to refurb some older units, but then again, you get older units, and the older units that have got some age on that have been turned into high school in their program, and trying to get those down more to the elementary schools, and particularly the 7th, 8th grade. So, we're trying to compete virtually with very little funding to do that. And I've glanced at it. This is glanced at what the governor has proposed of that $61 million, and looking at it right now, it's not feasible for our school district. Now, I'm gonna go into it in depth. Maybe I can find a loophole, maybe we can find something, but
It's not gonna just be.
I'm gonna complain. I'm going to offer some school districts have gotten more funding over the years, and they have more one-to-one with the 7th, 8th grade, and 6th grade on down to the lower elementary grades.
Is that what you're gonna tell us about the governor's, the matching?
So it is a matching program. That's why I did the FAQ right before I came to this meeting. And I pulled off the FAQ, sent you a copy, and sent supervisors and principals a copy of that. We're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but when they say we're going to have to match, well, we don't have any matching capability in this county. Period. In the subject.
If we can't do it, then what?
Well, we're going to have to bring them to school. Under safe conditions. I've asked Mr. Comfort to come up with a report, and I've asked him also to come up with a deal about how many Chromebooks are out there that we could possibly utilize in a negative situation if we were to go full virtual. If we go full virtual, we'll have to be having some capacity when a student comes in and pulls up right out here beside, beyond those doors right there.
Yes.
When that parent pulls up, that if they don't have internet at their house, then we've got to find some capacity. We are going to put hotspots with our CARES grant money, we are going with our ESSR, I will say that correctly, ESSER funding. CARES grant is a misnomer. It is ESSER funding. With that funding, we're receiving about $370,000. Then we're using some of that funding to put hotspots. Mr. Coker, approximately how much did that, we use about $20,000 or so of that money will be utilized for hotspots at each one of our elementary schools.
We don't have to leave the fund for every child, because a lot of children have their own personal computer and iPad or whatever, just have to be able to log in.
And we're going to be utilizing, we're a Google school system, so we will be utilizing Google Classroom as our primary means of getting the virtual classrooms out there.
Yes, it is. You have basically one teacher to do all the third grade or second grade, or you have each individual teacher.
Each individual teacher, when you're looking at those lower grades, each individual teacher will be responsible, just like they are responsible now. We have video cameras in every classroom. We have video technology in every single classroom in our school system.
How are we gonna work that accountability?
And so, well, that's where we'll have to work on that, work on the grading, work on grading. But we have, what I was gonna say, we have video capacity at every one of our classrooms. And we have the Google Classroom set up. We will be doing training on Google Classroom, where every teacher will be trained on Google Classroom. And so we have the technology. I put our technology against anybody in the state of Tennessee. And we're getting a bargain, by the way. But I'll put our technology against anybody anywhere. It's just taking that technology now to the homes, and that's where we do not have the infrastructure in Cannon County. If you can accompany some of our bus drivers on some of the places that they go, and you're out with here without cell service. Right? We're trying to put radios on school buses because cell phones don't work in many places our school buses go. But what I'm trying to say is that our topography is very different than a city school is. If you look at a lot of city schools that are doing this, they have a relatively small area that they can offer hotspots and et cetera, and people that be within most of the range of their students. In Cannon County, we are spread out, and we do not have that capability. But what I would tell you is this: there are challenges. You bet you there are challenges. There are challenges every day. When I open up my email, when I am on with the Commissioner of Education 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I have a webinar that I am listening to the Commissioner of Education. And then the governor does a press conference at 3 o'clock most days. So when you have all of that, and it keeps changing, what we're trying to do, we're having to prepare for something that we haven't done.
She's got a meeting with the president.
The president, she had a meeting with the president today. Commissioner of Education, Commissioner, had a meeting with President Trump today. So, my deal with this, after seeing what I'm seeing, my next call is to Representative Clark Boyd and Senator Cody and say, this isn't helping me one bit. We do not have the physical capacity to do that for our students. And so, we're trying to do something, as Bonnie said a moment ago, she's been in it 40 years, I've been in it 34. I've never seen anything like this, that I'm having to adjust to something that I can't predict.
No one has.
Used to, I could predict that I said, okay, we're starting in-service on August the 5th, and we would have in-service on that day, and then we would have the in-service day 2, we would have the abbreviated day where we register, and then the teacher work day on the 10th, and the first day of school in Cannon County is August 11th. And my great hope is that we will have school, we will open school in one shape, one form, one fashion on August the 11th. But my fear here is that these COVID numbers will continue to rise, and the governor will say, okay, you're going all virtual. So that's going to be, so okay, I'm having to go all virtual then.
Well, it's good we're proactive now.
So we're trying, like I say, our committees are looking at, our committees are trying to find answers. And it's just not Freddie Curtis's decision on this, it is the board's decision. It is the board working on that, that's what, everybody tries to shift blame in this deal. And it is, everybody's shifting blame. The State Department of Education gives us toolkits and guidance, but it's up, and this is a local decision. So it basically is going to fall on this board. It's what it's going to fall on, and for me to execute what you tell me to do. But it's everybody working together, and that's what I'm saying, we've got 3 different committees working on this. We have some very, very intelligent people in our school system. And they're working hard, but this is, to have these recommendations from the committees, it's a tough deal, guys. Tough deal.
I really hope, I don't want to take anything away from how bad COVID has been, especially for a lot of families, but I hope our government starts paying attention to an instance like this that could happen, that something really, really truly bad comes along, something's got a 50% mortality rate or greater. This country was extremely unprepared for this, 100%. I really don't know the stats on the COVID-19 yet. I don't know whether to believe that it was very minor thing compared to the flu, if it was worse. But if something major does come along, and when I say major, what I just said before, we are completely and utterly unprepared for anything of this nature. Completely, and this just shows exactly how unprepared we were.
But if you look at the CDC guidelines, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you look at the CDC guidelines, and that's nearly an impossibility with, ever how many students is in this school. Take Woodbury Grammar, for example. 400 some odd students in this school to do what CDC says. Now we're going to prepare, we're going to work, we have to stagger, whatever. But the problem with staggering is you have kids on a different schedule as another student in another school. Example, high school, and I've asked my colleagues in other systems what they're doing about it. And they basically say, well, we're going to have to communicate, and here's how we're going to communicate that. Yeah, whatever the students on, if they're on an AD schedule, then your child will be on whatever the oldest child is. So you don't have, 3 of my kids are on one schedule and 1 of my kids is on the B schedule instead of an A schedule. No, we need to, but that's what we're looking at. That's what we're examining. We're not jumping the gun probably as quick as our surrounding counties are looking, and that is deliberate. We're seeing what works and what can't work. If we go full virtual, it will be a formidable task. We know how the packets were just on extra points that were added to, that their scores could not go down after March the 13th, as the state legislature stated. So we're going to have to look at that closer, and like I say, our academic team is working on it, our transportation team is working on it, and as well as our health and safety team is working on it. So, like I say, we're working on it. And we'll try to get it as soon as, and I know people want answers and want things, but after the 24th of July, then we will be ready to go, ready to move, and we will give answers to how we're going to do that. I think so. I think Mr. Ford can go first. Mr. Ford, yes, can I, Mr. Ford, for those listening via Zoom, Mr. Mike Ford is here with us. Mr. Ford is a roofing consultant. He works with our architect, Mr. Gregory Street, and has been doing and working. He'll probably give you a roof report on how it's coming along at the Woodland and the high school, and the school will be the last school that will be done. His team has been working hard for Porter Roofing. They received a bid, they're working hard, so hopefully we're going to come in under budget and get everything done. So Mike, I'll turn it over to you. And then at the end, you have in your packet a packet, it's the staple part of this, from Exterior Claim Consultants. So Mike, if you would tell us how we're coming along on the roofing project for for high school in Woodland and the River.
They're 100% on the Woodland, as far as getting the roof in the drive. There's still details that they'll have to do with it as they jump. Is it on?
Can we get him on there, Mr. Cofer, can you assist?
Yeah, it's on there.
I'm sorry, back. We their quarter is 100% on the Woodland roof installation. There's still details to do. What they did is got him in the drive so that he could jump back over to the high school. The reason they started in Woodland is they needed to get the gas lines off the roof of the high school so they could do it more efficiently. They have finished most all of the front side and section G today. And then they're going to be moving from that point back from the gymnasium back to the backside. And so they're making progress, but like last week, first part of last week and then again today, there was a high probability of rain. So they could only roof so much today and then it ended up not raining. So it's one of those, they've got to be, you can't erring on that side of caution. So they're on pace to finish. We do have some costs that we're waiting on for Woodland, which would be nominal around where they took the chimney down. And so far, we haven't seen anything that would be a contingency on the high school as of yet. And so we're crossing our fingers that that's going smooth. As far as Woodbury, I think part of what you wanted me to come in today, talk about the hail damage, hail impact. We have two different ends of the roof on this school. There has not been a greater than an inch thick hail impact registered by the Weather Service in this area within the last year or two. So therefore, what that more than likely tells us is that it was a 2-inch hail impact from several years ago. That was never claimed, no action was taken. Those contractors,
What year did the Adams Memorial Gym become severely damaged and roof placed on it? That 2, 3?
That was,
3 years ago?
okay. So we knew it was more than just.
it was CFC, it was before my time.
They destroyed the roof over there, just completely replaced.
Okay.
This building from here.
Okay. So then, I don't know, because I don't know the history on that, so I don't know, I would assume it hit here too, so maybe it's.
It's just right there.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, I've seen neighborhoods where this house got hail damage and that house beside it got no hail damage. So hail it is not, just because it's, 100 yards away doesn't ensure that just because it hit there, it hit here. Anyway, so that was brought to the school board's attention, or at least the biggest attention, that there was hail impact. From my understanding, the insurance company had been notified and they started the process. Freddie asked me to look at it. I am, and just for the record, I'm not a certified hail person. I'm not a lawyer, so my experience is on roofing and conditions and the roof consulting. So that's the reason I brought in Andrew, the exterior consultant, because he comes from the insurance industry, started an additional business to look at and to represent, on the consulting side. So he came out and looked at it, acknowledged that there was hail damage. Andrew and I sat down with Freddie and looked at what the insurance's third-party consultant recommended. And when we looked at it with a fine-tooth comb, we noticed that there were quite a bit of areas that were left off. From the state requiring an architect engineer to be involved in the project, they didn't have that in there. They didn't have quite a few other things. And then within the last few months, there's been wind damage at 2 additional schools. With Woodland
And Westside.
and Westside. Woodland were already going to be replacing the gutters that were damaged. So that's already in process. And so what Exterior did is they came through and gave an exactly, it's a program that the third party company used. It's the exact same program. So they ran the exact same computer program, but they saw the areas that they were missing, clarified them and has submitted this to Freddie. That needs to be submitted to the insurance. The question is that Freddie and I have been going back and forth upon is, one, the metal roof's not leaking. It's cosmetic damage at this point. The insurance is looking as though they're going to pay some money to the school system for the hail impact damage. The question is, there are a couple of questions that will have to be answered that I can't. It's not to go back to your adjuster. Is one, what is the depreciation value that you're going to get? They can only depreciate the material, they can't appreciate the labor. So if they say that it's a 50% depreciation, that's one thing. If it's a 10% depreciation of the material, that's something different. That's an information we need to know. So this number that you're seeing.
What's the life expectancy on the metal roof, do you know?
Metal roofs typically last anywhere from 30 to 50 years, depending on a number of variables. The metal roofs that you have up here are in good shape. The construction is such that it is solid construction. So you've got your decking system, you've got an insulation layer in between, and then you've got your roof metal panel. So it's not where you run into your most personal damage is when you've got a metal roof that's over open purlins. And so there's nothing underneath the metal. So when the panel hits it, and the metal hits it, it damages the panel. The way this is constructed, it damaged it, but it didn't break the panel. And so really the metal roof that's up here should last for another 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe a leak here or two and some details that those could be addressed. The question is one, how are they going to appreciate it when you get the final numbers? The other question that I was asked in the process is, if the school system takes the funds that the insurance is going to pay and uses them for another area, there's a number of questions that arise. First off, if that does happen in a budget shortfall, in a pandemic and everything else that's going on, if that happens and there's another hail damage, wind damage event in the next month, 2 months, 6 months, then the school system will be, for the most part, traditionally speaking, responsible for the roof. That still needs to be clarified because it typically doesn't state it in the policy. You would have to get clarification from your insurance company. Usually your agents would be that person who will answer that. I wouldn't ask that question right now. I would wait and see what they come back with. When they come back with a tally, because let's say they came in initially at one number, this number is considerably more. If they decide that, yes, this is right, they come back with more, then you have to look at what the depreciation value is. And then you have to look at, if we use that funding to help the school system, because the roofs aren't leaking, one, if there's a hail damage event, what is the insurance policy standard? The other question you need to ask is, if there's a different event, let's say there's a fire damage inside of here that then damages the roof. Well, if they've already paid for it for hail damage, this is different. It could be fire damage, it could be an earthquake, it could be something completely different. Would that be covered? And that would have to be something that your carrier would have to answer. So there's still quite a bit of unknowns out there, but those are some of the things that we're going to look at.
So I think that's a general effect. I think they may fix it. That's just my opinion.
When you look at that, Mr. Chairman, moving forward, you look at the, in your packets, those that are online on Zoom, Mr. Tony, Mr. Daniel, if you look at that, Westside had about $27,000 worth of maybe gutters, gutter damage that needs to be looked at. Woodbury River had the bull at $569,712. And if that's completely replacing and doing all that, you can, I'm not going to bore you about reading all that. And then you see Woodland, the Woodland, on that next to last page, you see Woodland Elementary there. My question is, the $30,594.56, has that been pretty well addressed, all of that been addressed, in the roof, in the re-roof at Woodland?
That is correct.
So the $30,000 there, that's already a wash, we thought it's already been addressed, and will be done because of the roof replacement.
That is correct.
That we done, okay. I was gonna try to verify that, and then I think there's some on the bottom side of it is also was a part of that. I think, is that on, I'm assuming that's on that last page, I'm assuming that's on the Woodland, because it's got total line items there, that vinyl siding, R&R vinyl siding, vinyl. And that's $2,000, is that, where is that?
That's here.
That's here.
That's the siding, that is open office area.
Okay, okay. That's the only thing I couldn't tell, when you got your total for Woodland, the total for all of Cannon County schools, $818,103.
And again, that is the third parties using the Xactimate which the insurance companies use. That is not what the insurance companies come back with. It's just a third party that's reviewed it, found errors in the original plan that the insurance company's third party submitted. This is in essence, this is the school system's third party that has reviewed it. It needs to be submitted to insurance, or let them come back with.
And that's what I'm gonna do, that's what I'm gonna do, Jim, I just need to get permission from the board to go ahead and submit this to the, just verbal permission is all I need from the board to go ahead and submit this to the risk manager. And we'll do that, I'll have that notice and we'll do that first thing. We'll get that to, that is also a fee of $74,000.40 for architect fees there too, as part of the 7%.
What that is built into, if you replace the standing seam metal roof, it was put on 20 some odd years ago, and to either tear it off and come back in, you've got to bring it up to current code. So there needs to be engineering that, and that's not me, that would be Sweet Busby, whoever you choose as the architect design bid. That's an estimate for what that fee would be based on that scope of work. So engineering, structural needs to be done to make sure it meets current code for wind load and wet load. And besides, codes require anything.
And that plus TCA, if you look at your last page there, Mr. Steve highlighted that is it necessary for registered architect and students to prepare documents for roof replacement? The answer is yes, the TCA does that, so that was the architect lobby, but I'm sure put that in there. A lot of gets carried out this thing, it's just what it is. But, Mr. Chairman, looking at COVID and looking at roofs and looking at budget, I've been a busy boy of late. I've been very busy, and I've not had, I think, one day off so far this summer. So you can see how busy this is, and this is it's tough work. It's tough work, but we've got a team, and that's part of the team. And I'm gonna preach this for a second about, our mission is to prepare all of our students for our future. We have two, I would like to announce during the meeting, we have a new principal at Short Mountain Elementary School, Stephanie Alexander. I think Stephanie's going to do outstanding work at Short Mountain. Wonderful person named Elizabeth as well as an instructional coach, but Stephanie is uniquely qualified for that position. And then we've also, with the resignation of Ms. Aubrey James, I've hired Ms. Julie Vincent, outstanding educator, been a principal, longtime special ed teacher. Didn't like I did. She left the principalship, went back to the classroom, and now I've grabbed her for administrative duties. And she's an outstanding individual working with her special ed teachers. Actually meeting with them on meet and greet on Friday, and meeting with every individual principal. So Mrs. Vincent is another one who's we're glad to have her part of the team. But that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Please,
30 minutes for 3 years. Everybody's gonna go on vacation, I'll just tell you all this real quick, please try to be careful. Please try not to bring anything home, nobody here, just people listening. All right, that's all I have.
Before I conclude, I hate to do that, but I will, I will tell you this, I would suggest, because the CLP, the continuous learning plan, needs to be approved by this board. I would strongly suggest to you having a recess, to recess this meeting until with the one thing being on the agenda, the approval of the continuous learning process, program on Thursday, July the 23rd. That's what I would suggest, Mr.
I'll be what you just said there. On the beach. Right.
Chairman. See you. And I will get that to you on the 23rd. The committee is meeting multiple days earlier in that week, and then the week before, which is next week, we're meeting. And so I'll have a plan to you, and you can try to read over that plan, have that plan ready to roll.
All right, thank you, everybody.